What's up YouTube? Welcome back to the channel, and in this video I'm going to give you 5 Logic Pro tips for beginners that I wished I would have known way earlier, because they would have helped me so much in the process of becoming a better producer. First, if you like this video and if you like this content, please throw a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, hit the notifications button. It really helps the channel and I appreciate it a lot. Thank you so much. So let's dive in. Tip number 1. Switch the snap mode from snap to bar. Now, this might seem like a obvious thing to do, but I don't see a lot of people do it, and I wasn't using this very often up to probably a year ago. In the top over here in Logic, you see the snap mode, and it's by default it's set to smart. Now, the smart function works really well, but especially when you're duplicating a lot of audio files, sometimes you'll be zoomed out a lot, and by accident maybe you will hit the wrong bar. So maybe you will put it on a 16th or on an 8th, and because it's set to smart mode, Logic will actually remember this and it will think that you did it on purpose and that is what you want. And then sometimes, especially when you're duplicating a lot of 16 bars or 8 bars or a lot of edited audio files, like over here, if I would take this for example, I will duplicate this, sometimes it will put it on the wrong bar. When you put it on bar, it will only take the whole bars. So now I can just duplicate this, and you see I cannot put it between 1 and 2. You see, it will just snap to the whole bars, which makes it so much easier, especially if you've edited a lot of vocals. It's just so much easier. Just snap from smart to bar, and it really saves you a lot of time, and it's just a safer way to go. The other snap modes, personally, I don't use them at all. The only thing that I do use as well is the automation snap mode. When you go to automations and then snap automation and then you put it on active, now whenever you make an automation, it will actually lock itself to the grid, which is very handy, because by default in Logic the automations are not locked to the grid. Like for example in Ableton, I think in Ableton it is by default locked to the grid. Tip number 2, use the pre-fader setting when you're using buses or auxiliary channels or sends. Logic uses all these names for some reason. But what do I actually mean with this? Now over here, for example, I have 3 tracks that are going to this auxiliary with reverb. Now by default, the buses are set to post pan. If I activate this and then I will solo this together with the reverb, you can hear the reverb playing. What happens when you set it on post pan is that the tracks are being sent to the auxiliary or to the reverb after the faders. So whenever I move these faders, the input to this auxiliary changes, which is very annoying. And with reverbs, it's not the biggest issue. Well, still it can create some issues, especially with vocals, but especially when you use compression on an auxiliary or distortion, you want that input to be consistent, because if your input changes to a distortion unit, the sound will change and your sound design will change and your mix and whatever. Put it on pre-fader like this. The input to the auxiliary will always stay the same. It will always stay consistent. And like this, you're not messing up your mix. This happened to me so many times. I would be mixing, I would change the balance of my track, and then all of a sudden, my reverb has changed or my delay has changed. And I'm like, what the fuck? What just happened? I wasn't aware of the fact that by changing the levels, I was also changing the inputs to my auxiliaries. Tip number 3. Use VCAs when you're mixing. This is such a life hack, guys. It will save you so much time mixing, and it will make your mixes sound so much better. Right now, you see over here, there is a VCA section enabled. When you open a project, this is not enabled, but if you right click on any channel in your project, you will see create a new VCA, and when you create a new VCA, this section will become available. Now, a VCA is just a voltage controlled unit. It's really nothing else but a volume fader. But by sending your tracks to VCAs, it will enable you to mix your tracks so much easier. What I do is, for example, let's say that this is my kick and this is my bass, and the rest of my tracks over here are just high-end stuff. I will send all my low-end stuff to one VCA and all my mid-range and high-end stuff to a second VCA. This makes it very easy for me when I'm mixing and I come at a point where I'm like, oh shit, okay, my low end of this track is just maybe not loud enough and I just need 1 dB of extra low end. I can just grab VCA 1 and just lift the low end by 1 dB, and I will put my whole low end in the track louder. Instead of me diving into the project and selecting all the separate tracks in the project and actually leveling then those separate tracks or finding all the groups, I can just send everything to 1 or 2 VCAs, and like this I'm just filtering and narrowing down the amount of faders that I actually need to mix my track. If I would have a track with a lot of vocals, I would create a third VCA, and that VCA will be used for the vocals only. So when I come at a point where I'm basically almost done with my mix and I think like, oh, my vocals just need 1 or 2 dB extra, or maybe they're just a bit too loud, I can just trim down that single VCA. Instead of grabbing all the vocal groups or all the vocal channels, I can just grab the VCA. Trust me, it makes your life so much easier. You can also send groups to the VCA. So let's say that I will have like a kick bass group, or like a summing stack as they call it in Logic Pro. And this will be closed, of course. Then I can just send this whole group to one VCA. So let's say, for example, that I have 2 groups, 1 kick group and 1 bass group. I can just send both of them to VCA 1, and instead of having to control both of the groups, I can just control 1 VCA, which makes my life so much easier. Tip number 4: use CNTRL+B to bounce in place. This is so useful. Over here, I have a MIDI channel, and it sounds like this. It's just a little drum effect. Sometimes you have so many small MIDI channels that are just used for effects, or maybe you even have an audio channel that you have some heavy processing on, which is just eating a lot of your CPU, and you don't necessarily need all that processing. You just want the processed audio file or the MIDI. Then you can just select the file, use CNTRL+B, and it will give you the option to bounce in place. So let's just call this drum fill, and I will select a new track. I can also select one of the tracks that I'm already using, and then I will just do OK, and it will bounce that MIDI file into an audio file. And now I can just either delete this audio file or mute it. At least it's not using any valuable CPU power anymore. Now, especially if you have like maybe a smaller MacBook or a smaller computer, this will save you so much CPU power. And also, audio files are just way easier to handle, especially in big projects. At some point, the MIDI files are just getting a bit annoying and they are very hard to edit because it's MIDI. Tip number 5, use the groups in Logic Pro. Now, just to make sure that we're understanding each other correctly, whenever you make a group like this in Logic, it's actually not a group. It's called a stack, of either a folding stack or a summing stack, which looks like this. This is not what I mean. I really mean group. So I'll flatten this one. And the groups, you can find them in the mixer window, and you can see the groups over here. So let's say I have these 2 channels together with the reverb. And let's say that this is the balance that I want with these 2 audio files and the reverb. Now I can create a new group. I will open a new group number 1, and I will call it drum plus verb. And now you see that these 3 channels are assigned to a group. And now these are linked. So whenever I will lower the level of this group, I will lower all the channels within this group. Now this is super handy, especially vocals, because you have a lot of tracks and the reverb, the level of the reverb is so important when mixing those vocals, that at the point where you have found the right sweet spot for the balance, you want to keep it like that. And when you assign them all to a group, you can very easily balance your vocals without messing up the actual balance of the vocal group with the reverbs and the delays and the effects. Maybe you have some parallel compression going on over there, or maybe you have a duplicate channel of the vocals with distortion, which is very precisely leveled. Make a group and use that group to keep the balance intact and not mess up your balance. Whenever you want to change the settings of the group, you go right click and then you do open group settings, and then over here you have this little foldable folder that you can open, and then you can select all the things that you want to be able to control with the group. So let's say I want to be able to solo it together, pan it together. I want send 1, 2, 3 to be controlled together as well, and let's say I also want to be able to change the input. So now all of these settings will be controlled together. So when I change this, you see that it will change the send for both of these channels. Whenever I will solo the group, I will solo all of these tracks. If I want to make a change to just one track, I just hold down Shift, press G, it will unlink the group, and now I can change the balance or whatever I want, the panning of just one track. Press Shift G again and it will re-enable the group, and now everything is linked again together, and whenever I change the pan, it will keep this right where it is. There you go, guys. My 5 tips for Logic Pro beginners. Use these things. I hope it helps. I'm pretty sure it will help you if you've been using Logic Pro for a while and you didn't know about this. It really speeds up your workflow, and it just makes sure that everything stays in the control that you want to have. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Please, again, if you like this video, leave a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, hit the notifications button. It really helps the channel. It means a lot, and I'll see you on the next one, guys. Ciao, ciao.